deliver consistent high purity quality food.
Grant, welcome to InvestorStream for the first time. You've recently completed a $1.55 million share placement with support from institutional and sophisticated investors. Firstly, what kind of feedback did you receive from those investors who are essentially backing the company's commercialization plans with this new capital?
Morning, Alex, and thanks for having us on. Globe has not been as public as it might be over the last 10 years, and so it's good to be in front of investors again. This raise was really exciting for us. We haven't been to market, as I say, for nearly a decade. So we're pleased it went so well. Given that it only concluded just over a week ago, I have personally not had a time to deal with many of the new investors, but I can tell you that one of the single biggest chunks of the money that came in was from a battery metals fund. And we're really pleased about that. We see it as an endorsement of the path that we're on. And clearly our identification of niobium oxides and their impact on the electric vehicle space is also seen elsewhere. And so, yeah, no, it's been very pleasing.
Thanks, Grant. So can you just talk us through your plans for developing the project compared to previous project development initiatives with respect to aspects such as CapEx, phase construction, transport and processing?
Sure. Overall, the strategy hasn't deviated. We're still going to be a producer of niobium oxides. What has changed is that we've really been working hard to achieve two things. We want to be able to scale our production to meet the market. You may recall from the feasibility study, that was an extremely large operation on day one, 1.5 million tons per annum. And that's simply, the market's simply not big enough right now for us to come in at that level. So we need to be able to scale. And the second thing that we were very keen on, given our background, myself and the Chief Technology Officer have both managed a tantalum mine production unit, as well as a tantalum and niobium refinery using hydrofluoric acid. And both of us were very keen that we look at alternatives to that particular process route. So previously we would produce the concentrate in Malawi, stick it on a truck, ship it out of a port on the east coast of Africa up to the UAE and put it through a hydrofluoric acid leach process. And what we're going to do now is we're still going to produce the concentrate. We're going to put it on a truck, but now we're going to turn left, if you like, if you look at the map, and head down to Namibia, which is a well-worn route for mines. Kayelekera, Impol, the big uranium mine in Malawi, and others all ship their materials through Namibia. Easy to do, and we avoid all the extra cost, etc., with the shipping. So we'll take it to Namibia, and we're going to make use of a process called gas phase chlorination. I don't want to get into the technical detail of that. Suffice to say, it's been around for forever. It's the base process that is used worldwide for the production of titanium oxides. It's also used by a specialty metals company out of Germany who use it particularly for the production of niobium. So it's well known. And most importantly for us, it's easy to do locally. I don't have to ship for miles. And secondly, it doesn't produce massive noxious wastes, such as would be the case with the hydrofluoric acid process. So we're very pleased to have taken this route, and I look forward to us. And of course, ultimately, what it allows us to do is to get into production faster, which strategically I think is very important for Globe.
Now, Grant, I understand the company has been collaborating closely with the Malawi government in the formation of a mining development agreement for the Kanyika Niobium Project. Are you optimistic that the company continues to move in the right direction with a development solution that meets the requirements of all stakeholders?
Yeah, and I think we need to split those agreements. You've mentioned the mine development agreement, and that's very close to the hearts of our current shareholders. They've watched the painful gestation of that agreement over the past 10 10 or so years. But while it looks slow on the outside, I assure you we're paddling like hell underneath. And since March last year, we've achieved some significant milestones in that regard. So we've concluded our negotiations with the Ministry of Mining. The document has been through the Interministerial Review Committee process and come out the other end. And now it's simply going through the last bureaucratic step, which is sitting on the desk of the Attorney General, and his job is to dot the I's and cross the T's. And that, frankly, could happen at any stage. So I'm very hopeful that it is coming, and it's coming soon. Shareholders will be looking at me saying that and saying, we've heard that before. But I think if you look at how fast it's moved over the last 18 months, there's real hope. The second document is a community development agreement. That is with the community that surrounds the mine, and we've done a lot of work on that. Some investors have asked us, is that an impediment to us getting going? No, it isn't. We have to have it done prior to first commercial production taking place. So we've got at least 18 months to work on that. And we've already got to the stage where we have agreements in principle on what it's going to look like. We've set up the statutory trust to manage it, and we've identified the qualified communities and their representatives who would need to sign off on it. So we're a long way down the road, and we're very confident we'll have that done shortly. So yeah, I think all those wheels are turning in the right direction.
Thanks, Grant. Now, I noted in your latest investor presentation that a lot of niobium is produced in Brazil, and there appears to be a large supply side risk there. Once on stream, how does the Kanyika project impact the global market for niobium?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, Alex, and it's interesting because it highlights something that I hadn't been aware of really until I looked closely at this over the last 5 or 6 months, and that is there's strategically a concentration of production of niobium. There are only 3 mines currently in the world. They've all been around for over 50 years, and 2 of them are in Brazil, including CBMM, who currently produce over 90% of the world's niobium. Also has to be mentioned that CBMM are the only one of the 3 that produces niobium oxides. The other 2 producing ferroniobium. So, you know, when Globe comes on stream, we will only be the second vertically integrated niobium oxide producer in the world. And I think strategically that's really important for us. As the use of niobium oxide in battery minerals expands and this market takes off, you will see that people will say, we can't be locked into a single supplier. Where are the alternatives? And the alternatives are usually people that are producing oxides using either waste product or concentrates from one of those 3 miners, et cetera, whereas we will be able to offer them from an A to Z solution. The second thing is that we're regionally diverse, clearly coming out of Africa. We're also from a non-conflict region of Africa, which for end users is extremely important. Anyone who's in that space will understand what I'm talking about. So we have a number of strategic pluses on our side. In terms of our impact on the market, this is exactly why we looked at scaling our phase 1, if you like, and starting smaller. The oxide market, to understand what's happening there, you need to look at what the big players, CBMM, are doing. And last year, they announced that they were going to increase their production by 4.5 times, from 10,000 tons per annum to 45,000 tons per annum. If I tell you that when we start production, we're producing in the region of 350 tons per annum, it shows you that we're not coming in here with a battering ram and trying to take over the castle. What we're saying is we want to come in. We want to be one of the early players in the niobium oxide space, particularly EVs, and we want to follow that growth trajectory that CBMM has identified. I would also encourage any investors who are interested in all of this to go and look at our EV presentation on our website, and it gives you a load of supporting documentation and interesting reads showing what is actually happening. We've joined the dots for you, if you like. So yeah, I think our production is going to be, well, it's entirely scalable. So we will simply come in, establish a foothold, and then move as the market moves.
And just finally, Grant, niobium's use in lithium-ion batteries and the rising demand for it has been well documented. From your vantage point as a niobium developer, is there a recent example which further highlights the importance of niobium as part of the clean energy transition?
Sure, Alex. There are many, many examples of companies that have started up in this space over the last 3, 4, 5 years that are receiving large amounts of money based on their niobium anode technology. But I think the important thing for me always is research is one thing, how's it being commercialized? And probably the best example there is Toshiba. Toshiba, very well known. They are producing a niobium titanium oxide NTO anode battery. They're working with CVMN on that. And it's got to the stage where they've signed at least 2 commercial agreements that we're aware of, one with Volkswagen Truck in Brazil and the other one with Horwin Motors in Brazil. Horwin are the largest producer of motorcycles in Brazil. So that's really exciting, because I think when the market sees this technology moving from the laboratory into production and onto the roads, I think that's when this space is really going to heat up.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate your time today and all the best.
Thanks, Alex. It's been great being with you. Cheers, man.